everyone, so my name is Sydney and welcome back to my channel. I have just spent the better part of like half an hour trying to find a spot for my camera where I can figure out like if I'm in focus or not. This seems to be all right. The only thing I'm gonna have to work on is I really need to get a ring light. It's gonna save me so much trouble. I already know that. As you can tell, my big elephant painting is gone. All of my paintings over here are gone. I am 2 weeks out from moving. So you guys are actually set up on 4 of my boxes full of books. And yeah, so I'm really excited and terrified. It's gonna be exciting, but yeah, so to kind of control my anxiety, I actually have gotten through a lot of my July like TBR list. I'm really shocked because I was really being like, I don't know words anymore, but I was being ambitious. Thank you, Sydney. I was being ambitious. So I have actually gotten through about 70% of my TBR and I still have 2 weeks left of July. So I'm hoping that we get it knocked out. I'm gonna go ahead today and I'm gonna do something new. I'm gonna create my own little tag. And this is gonna be a Mistborn Trilogy tag. So it's just for the 3 Mistborn books. I know that there's more in the Cosmere, which is the universe that Brandon Sanderson has created involving these 3 books. However, I haven't read those yet, so I'm gonna go ahead because I know I could talk for hours about each individual book. I wrote down a bunch of questions and I condensed my viewpoints a little bit. So I thought, I know a lot of people on YouTube who love the Mistborn Trilogy, and so if they want to do this, I think it'd be kind of fun to see what our different answers are. For me, I knew that I would just be rambling about, especially since I just finished the series yesterday and it really impacted me. And I'll go ahead and put those clips in of me crying throughout this series. I just thought it would be a good way to condense my thoughts. So this video is going to be full of spoilers. There's no way that I can really answer these without making it full of spoilers. However, I'm gonna go ahead and do a July wrap up at some point when I move, and for that I will talk about the Mistborn series and give my non-spoiler feelings away and stuff. So if you haven't read the series and you're very sensitive to spoilers, which I totally understand, don't worry, you do not have to watch this video. However, if you have read the Mistborn series or you're wanting to read the Mistborn series but you don't mind spoilers, I will welcome you. Please watch the video. Also, I'll go ahead and make sure that I note when it's like a really big spoiler, in the sense of it's something that's very, very integral to the plot. I'll go ahead and put a warning so that you don't have to like click away. Also, I'm sorry if I check myself a lot in the mirror. Today my body dysmorphia is pretty bad. So I'm feeling pretty like about myself. So it's just second nature for me to just keep looking and making sure that I look okay. I just want to explain why I'm like always looking in the mirror to figure out if I look okay. Alright, so here is my Mistborn tag. I'm going to go ahead and give my initial thoughts. So I went into this series having been recommended it from another booktuber who actually didn't know me at that time, but now because of this series we're actually good friends and I love her very much. That is Catherine Reads. I'll link her channel below and I'll put her little picture over here. Yeah, so I saw her talking about it and then I started going to other people's booktube channels as I started getting into booktube, and I noticed a lot of people talked about this series and they talked about how amazing it was. And I had read The Arithmetist also as a recommendation and I loved The Arithmetist, so I was like, obviously I'm going to like Mistborn. Like it, I did. I think it is one of the best fantasy series I've ever read. Now, I don't have many adult fantasy series to compare it to because I am new in the genre. However, I do think that it's
pretty great.
The world itself, the world building is just fantastic, and the characterization alone is just brilliant. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the questions. Question 1 is, who is your favorite character? And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cheat on my own little quiz. My favorite character changes from book to book. So in the first book, my favorite character was Kelsier. If you've read the book, you know that he does not make it past the first book. I was very distraught, and I think it's because I connected to him so deeply, and I have a really deep connection to characters who become like father figures to other characters, especially because I think in adult fantasy you see a lot of these older men falling in love with the very young women, and I liked that he was a father figure and not a love interest.
Thank God.
I really liked everything about him. He was charismatic, he cracked me up, and I just think he stood for something very amazing. And yeah, I was a mess. I was a mess at the end of book 1. That's all I'm gonna say.
He said, "I'll tell Mare about you. She always wanted a daughter. I'm not okay." Another book just ruined my life, so... And it's the first in a trilogy.
Book 2, my favorite character was actually Vin. I loved Vin. I loved Vin in the first book. However, I really think that she flourished in the second book, and her growth was just stunning. I mean, her constant fight between who she was supposed to be, and who she became. I think that was a really beautiful storyline, and seeing her grow into her powers and grow into her role in saving this world was just fantastic. Just such a powerful female character, and I just think that her growth was incredible throughout the series. I also just think she was one of those characters that, even being blunt and kind of pessimistic, she was also very funny and relatable. My favorite character for the last book is Sazed. I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce his name. I know Kelsier is supposed to be Kelsier or whatever, but this is how I read them in my head, and if you come for me, I understand, but this is how I read it in my head, and I don't have the energy right now to just go and look. So Sazed, I guess you could say Sazed. Anyway, Sazed was my favorite character. I'm gonna call him Saz because that's what everyone else calls him in the book. His character in the first 2 books was amazing. I mean, just as a foil for our 2 main characters, Kelsier and Vin in the first book and Vin in the second. As a foil, he was a great character to read, and I never found myself bored. This 3rd book,
holy diggity dang.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so his contemplation of belief and what it means to believe in a religion without very many truths, or a religion where you could find fallacies and such, was so touching and very... It was just something I could connect with. I really enjoyed that exploration of faith and how some people can lose faith in the moment of desperation. I don't think that means you're not a believer, but sometimes you do question your faith. I think a lot of people go through this, especially in our generation, where a lot of us are still figuring out how to work in this crazy world. We're dealing with things that our parents and their parents before them haven't ever dealt with before. So I think that it was just a beautiful story, and his growth in the third book was stunning. I love him so much, and I'm so happy with where his character went. Also, that ending, okay, big spoiler. We're gonna put some music over this. Okay, the fact that he is questioning God and it's just like, you know what? I'm gonna become a god. And he did. It's what he deserves. Oh! So number 2, character that shocked you. So this is a character that I wasn't expecting to like, but actually I found myself really liking them and was shocked by the connection that I had with them. And for me, that was Tensoon. Now, he didn't really come in until the second book. We didn't really get introduced to Tensoon until the second book. And I just thought his connection to Vin and then his part in overthrowing the Empire, well, not overthrowing the Empire, his part in saving the world was just something. It wasn't what I was expecting, and I loved that. I loved that I found myself feeling for him and connecting to him. I really didn't expect to like him as much as I did. So yeah, I think Tensoon is the character that shocked me the most. So number 3 is a scene that broke you. So these are obviously going to be big spoilers. For me, the scene I think that broke me the most in this entire series was Kelsier's death. It was not something I was expecting. I was expecting him to die at some point in the series. There were just many hints at it. I didn't know it was going to happen in the first book. I thought maybe the second book at the earliest. When I tell you I've never been more shocked at a novel, I sat there just going,
I'm sorry, what?
so that it was shock at first, and then the devastation hit, and I was inconsolable for a few hours. It was a lot. It broke me. And then the follow-up to that was his letter to Vin. And I am just a sucker for father-daughter relationships. Him saying he would tell Mare about her because she always wanted a daughter. Oh my god, I'm getting emotional already thinking about it. It was just really, it broke me in good ways. I mean, I was devastated that his character is gone. However, there's also that part of you that is so relieved that he's with Mare now and he found that love again at the end of his life. Another scene that broke me was in the third book, and it involved Human, the Koloss. I think it's called Koloss. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. I think it's pronounced this way. I'm just gonna say it that way. Human, the Koloss, when he was describing how the Koloss were made, that broke me. And I don't know why I had such a strong reaction to it, but I think it's because the devastation in his phrase where he says, I am human, and they finally understand that the Koloss are human. They're just, you know, they were dying or were created, but they were once human. That broke me. Oh my gosh. I was like, I didn't expect to feel these things for this creature. Okay. Number 4 is favorite quote or moment. So I have a quote and moment for each book. So book 1, The Final Empire, my favorite quote is, Our belief is often strongest when it should be weakest. That is the nature of hope. And I think why I love that quote so much is because it does connect to all three books. All of them believe in Kelsier and what Kelsier wanted to do, and they all believe that at some point they can help. And that is why their characters keep going. And I think that that's just a beautiful quote in general, but also really nice if you're looking at all three books. Then Kelsier giving Vin the mist cloak was just such a wonderful moment. I cried. Again, father giving his daughter her new identity and the identity she's needed all along. God. Book 2, my favorite quote is, "But what was a knife but another tool? It could be used for evil or for good. It could kill or it could protect." And I think I loved that quote the most because up until this point, Vin has found herself as only a tool of evil. But in this moment, she realizes that she can be a tool to help protect her people. And that was just a really good character shift as well. So yeah, I love that. And then obviously the wedding was so cute and such a like spur of the moment thing and just felt so right for her and Eland. I loved them. I loved the wedding. Yes, there is a scene where Vin and Tensoon are talking and they kind of finally start to become friends, and Vin starts to understand that there's more to Tensoon than just a beast. And yeah, I really think book 2 was actually, I think, my favorite of all three. A lot of people feel that book 2 was really slow. However, I felt like it was a really great character piece. And because I loved these characters so much, I was so happy to see their growth in that second book. Book 3! Let me just read this. A man is what he is passionate about. If you give up what you want most for what you think you should want more, you'll wind up miserable. I just think that this is another overarching theme throughout the entire 3 novels. Vin gives up Eland to save the universe. Kelsier gives up himself to save his people, specifically Vin and his crew. I just think that it connects a lot to the entire story. Then the Conjure Council was one of my favorite moments. The middle Conjure Council where Tensoon escapes was one of my favorite moments in the entire book. That whole scene was just wild, and it gave us a lot of clues as to what was going to happen, but also connected a lot of dots from the past. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it so much. Number 5, favorite book in the entire trilogy. The Well of Ascension was my favorite. I think because I really am a person who connects deeply to characters. I loved it as a character piece. I also thought it was fascinating to focus on the aftermath of overthrowing the Lord Ruler. Okay, number 6, most forgettable character. So this one's kind of funny because he was a major part of the second book, but honestly, I didn't give 2 rats' butts about him. Straff Venture was one of the most forgettable characters. I know he was one of the main villains in the second novel, but honestly, Zane overpowered him, Set overpowered him, all of these others, like even Eland's old friend overpowered him. So yeah, Straff Venture was just one that I was like, oh yeah, he was a villain in this story, okay. Your favorite enemy / villain in the stories. We do see a lot of villains in this story. There are minor ones, and then there's the overarching, bad guy. So obviously Ruin, who you don't really meet until the 3rd book, is a fascinating villain. I really, really loved that whole story. However, I also really liked this citizen. I think this citizen was a very realistic kind of villain and character, and I don't know, I thought he was cool. I thought he was an interesting dark force. If you could change one thing, what would it be? There's not a lot I would change because I'm not as brilliant as Brandon Sanderson, and everything happens for a reason. I really think the only thing I would change is the ending with Marsh, not what he does. He was such a big plot point. I kind of wanted to see more about what happened after Ruin was gone with him. Now maybe there was something and I just didn't see it through my tears. 9, if you could bring any character back from the dead, who would it be? Okay, so listen. I think that every character's death was important in some way. Would I like to have Kelsier back? Of course. However, I do think that there's something to be said about them having peace and being no longer having to fight. So, that being said, I would like Clubs to come back. He didn't need to go. It was unnecessary. Clubs can come back, help Spook rule. Finally, Allomancer or being a feruchemicalist. I think that's how you say it. Feruchemical. The thing that sauce it is, I actually said, this is going to be a shock, not Allomancer, only because the idea that you could take information and store it into a piece of metal and have that information on you at all times without it being tainted or anything like that. Sign me up! The amount of books I would put in there and then walk around and be like, I'm bored, I'm gonna read this on my arm. And just like, wow. Yeah, I really would, I think I'd be a keeper. I would be a keeper. But either way, I think that the magical elements of Mistborn are amazing. Like, just how did Brandon Sanderson do it? I just want to sit and talk. I want to sit and talk about the hardcore parkour of Allomancer. Yeah. Anyway, so that is my book tag. 10 questions, very simple. I could talk about this book forever. I will be probably bringing up new points in my wrap-up video. However, I have a few more books to get through. So thank you for watching. I am going to hopefully do a moving vlog. I have some stuff filmed, so I'm hoping you guys wouldn't mind that. I want to set up my bookshelves and videotape all that, but also I think because it's just such a big move for me, I'm moving across the country for the first time in my life, I just thought it would be fun to videotape and have you guys along with the journey and see what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. I really hope that you stuck it through. Hopefully everything looks okay, sounds okay, but we're still learning and that is a-okay. We are here to learn.
I still have 10 pages of this book left. Oh, I don't think my heart can take it because it's not over.